All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Give me a touch on the top prop bets that we have available on both PrizePicks and Underdog today, mostly in NBA and college basketball. But as always, I like to start with the recap from the last slate. So looking at yesterday, I'm going to start with this one just because I already have it pulled up. This was one that I kind of called out as one kind of in passing, and then it was one that I did call out on the Discord chat. And I'm pointing this out because this was a prop bet that on Underdog, they actually had the fantasy score set at 34, and PrizePicks line was originally at 32.5. There's a slight edge there. I ended up going with that. I'm bringing this one up first because my favorite prop bet on the day in terms of like agreeing with the data directly was the Graham Ike one. It was unfortunate though, especially for someone that uses my Taco Tuesday strategy where you're trying to bet the 5 best individual prop bets to pair on a 2-slip bet, 5 times, just to make sure that you're either breaking even or having a guaranteed profit each and every slate, because we only got to use them once. And so that was a little bit unfortunate there, but he crushed. It was nice to see that one crushed right away. And then Darius Garland, which is one that I absolutely love. I thought he was undervalued already with Mitchell and Okoro off the court, and then once LeVert was off the court, it pretty much almost seemed like a lock. What was strange, they didn't bump up his fantasy score at all, so hopefully you guys were able to take advantage of that one throughout the whole night. That was pretty awesome to see. And for these three, I mean, obviously kind of got lucky with Eric Gordon hitting, got unlucky 2 nights ago. I mean, that stuff's gonna happen. It's just a balancing out act. I did feel like Malcolm Brogdon being active actually helped Portland out a lot. It was able to keep the game closer for longer. That was a little bit unfortunate, but all in all, good day. Can't complain about that. 4 for 6. Kind of, if you guys use that with the way I kind of strategized for the tacos, you probably had yourself a good day. Or if you're someone that just does 1 bet per taco, you also probably had yourself a good day because you probably ended up on Graham Ike or Darius Garland. So good day there. Let's go ahead and get into the picks for today. I do want to start out with college basketball real quick. So for college basketball, we are getting a few good fantasy score props, and I just want to call these out because they lock at different times and whatnot today. So Walter for over fantasy score, something we're good with. Trey Alexander over fantasy score, something that we're good with. Justin Moore, do want to call it that the projection data likes the over. The average sportsbook line likes the under. If you don't want to use that one because of that, I get it. And then the Miami big here, 29.5 for his fantasy score. That is going to be a good one as well. So we are seemingly getting, 3 really good over fantasy score bets. I'm perfectly happy to use those in a slip, and I'm going to use those in a slip at the end of this video. But let's go and get into NBA. All right, guys, it's a 14-game slate. I'm going to try to go as fast as possible. I'm not going to be able to do the true deep dive like I love, and that's because it's a huge slate. And honestly, there's going to be a lot of slate changing injury news that happens throughout the day. Looking at it right now, Washington versus Charlotte, going to be an appealing game. 4.5 point spread, 242 for the over and under. Looking at the injury report, Terry Rozier is still out and Nick Richards is still out. So last game I was telling you guys, Mark Williams, once we get those props, probably going to be someone we want to be going in on. They had his props extremely low for that game, so a lot of you are probably able to benefit from that, hopefully. And I would still say, especially given this matchup, still wait. So he's someone I think we can be going in on. And then on the other side of it, Denny being out, I don't exactly know what to expect from that. I would imagine the rookie here would just get more run, maybe get 30 minutes, and instead of it being blowout run, it would just be normal run. But very interesting there. I'm curious to see what the data says. And for what it's worth, guys, I am recording this video later than normal, and we're only getting like 2 games worth for fantasy score. Very tilting for me, probably tilting for you guys as well, because we know, and I think the day has kind of proven that that's where we get a big edge. Looking at right now, we are seeing that Daniel Gafford for 100 rebounds and assists is seemingly a good EV bet that we are getting. Jordan Poole for 100 points, rebounds, and assists is another pretty good one. Like the average Vegas line would have it at 26.2. He is at 27.5 on PrizePicks. And then we look at here, Underdog has already bumped that one down. So that is seemingly a pretty nice edge that we have for both of those. I'm perfectly fine betting both of those, especially with Poole, where it's like a full point difference to me. That could be a very big edge on the slate. Gafford is someone I actually could see having a good game. We know that a lot of his production is predicated on him getting the minutes, and this is a game where I do think he's going to get the minutes. I do think there's a potential stack with just Mark Williams, Gafford. We're betting them both for the over fantasy score. I'd be fine with that. We're not really getting any PJ Washington props for Charlotte, but we'll show you guys Charlotte here. LaMelo Ball for over turnovers at 3.5 is seemingly a good one. And actually about PJ Washington, it is worth calling out that last game they chose not to start him, and in my head I'm like, oh, that's actually going to help him out. He's going to be playing with the second unit, and he's going to have a high usage rate in that second unit. That actually could be something that continues. Like his points is actually something we might be looking at, especially against Washington. That could be something to monitor. They chose to start Miles Bridges there, who's been playing pretty well. Like I do think all in all, this is a high scoring game. Like if we get some good fantasy score props as the day progresses, we might be wanting to go in on that. And for what it's worth, with Miles Bridges back, we have kind of seen Gordon Hayward's production fall off a little bit. Now the last game against Boston, he did have a good shooting game, and so it's tough to draw any conclusions from that. It did seem to be the right rotation switch though for everyone to benefit the most that they could with Rozier and Richards off the court. All right, moving on to the next game, we got the Nuggets versus the Magic. This is going to be a 3.5 point spread, 217, about 218 for the over and under. We know that Markelle Fultz and Wendell Carter are still out, and we know that Jamal Murray is still out. So nothing too big for injury news there. So we take a peek at Orlando. It is kind of annoying that we're only getting Banchero props right now. All in all, this team does somewhat seem to be like a stay away until they maybe have Gary Harris out or Cole Anthony out. Then we can go back to Jalen Suggs, especially on the back end of a back-to-back. I don't feel the need to kind of force any bets in there. I will say Jokic is probably going to be in a smash spot tonight after getting thrown out of the game for 2 technicals in his last game. And so any overbet that we were getting for Jokic is one I would want to be going in on, but we're seeing that we're really not getting that there for him. We are still seeing Aaron Gordon and MPJ are probably still undervalued in terms of their points, rebounds, and assists. You could potentially go in on that, but all in all, probably a little bit too. And guys, I would love to continue the game-by-game breakdown because I do think that's where, you know, we can gain the biggest edges. My 4-month-old is getting a little fussy, so I'm just going to give you guys the top bets as it sits right now. This is going to be changing, and I wish I could do the full allotment of it. But right now, we are seeing Keontae George for under fantasy score. And yesterday, we actually saw him for under fantasy score as one that was popping. I didn't personally like it. The data was correct there. And for the most part, the data was correct about the props that we were getting in that game. 4 out of the 6 hit in that game for the unders. And with George, we can see at 25 points, you know, against Portland, I would almost imagine he'd be able to get there. And it's not like there's any injury concerns at all. And all in all, like, he didn't really get that many minutes. Now, that game was a blowout, and that was part of the reason why I thought maybe the fantasy score props were all being kind of under for the lines. And it's funny, some people are like, do you ever like any of the prop bets that you recommend? I'm like, I felt like I did a good job of talking about the ones that I really liked yesterday, but yesterday was a weird slate. There's a lot of prop bets where I'm like, like Keontae George, he should get run in a blowout regardless. That didn't happen. The data was correct, and more times than not, if you guys just blindly trust the data, it's going to be correct. And so that was kind of my issue, is that it was ugly to trust some of the prop bets, but all in all, that's what you should do. That's what I'm doing. Ended up working out for the most part. But yeah, Keontae George, one of the best under fantasy score prop bets right now. We also saw his teammate in there, Lauri Markkanen, as one that was popping up as well. Let's take a peek at that. So he's one that's been definitely hit or miss, and I will say I do think that there's something to when John Collins has a good game, Markkanen is not going to have a good game. Now Portland is a team that I think Utah should be able to beat up against, or at least be competitive. Like, the players that you would think would have a good game should be the players that are having a good game. And so John Collins was someone that, like, per minute wise did have a good game. And so if this game stays close, kind of like Vegas is thinking, by the way, Vegas is seeing this game at a 3-point spread, 226. So staying close enough. To me, I'm worried that, you know, it does feel like one or the other. So maybe if you're betting George and Markkanen for under, you could bet John Collins for the over. Then from there, we are seeing Gafford. That was the EV bet that I called out. Jordan Poole under assist now. Tatum under 3.5 3 balls made. Let's talk through this one. Josh Giddey. This one's kind of fascinating to me. We can see the projection data has it at 30. The average sportsbook line would have is at 29, at about a 53% likely to hit. And then at 28.5, we are seemingly gaining a pretty big edge there on PrizePicks. And so about a 7-point spread, you know, there's the potential for this game to be a blowout, 225.5 for the over and under. No injuries. That, I guess that's a lie. Jalen Williams being out is actually a big mover, and he was out in the last game. Let me take a peek at what Josh Giddey did in the last game with him out. Only played 23 minutes. They crushed. If you give him, you know, 10 more minutes in that game, which I don't know if we can do, and that is a worry, is that he just hasn't been getting the minutes that you would like him to get to consistently hit that over. But, you know, blowout in that game. Warriors, that's definitely concerning, but 6 points, 4 turnovers, that's not good. 5 assists though, 4 rebounds. And for what it's worth, guys, like, I just pulled up the per 36 production with Jalen Williams off the court. Josh Giddey doesn't really get a minutes bump. It goes SGA heavy, Isaiah Joe heavy, Carson Wallace heavy, and then Dort pretty heavy as well. But it really just means that Isaiah Joe's going to get more runs. So I don't know. This is one of those where I will agree with the data. It does show that he gets a 2.2 bump in his usage and about 2.2 more, or 2.5 more fantasy points per 36. So, like, just looking at it, like, he's basically already averaging 28.4. This is DraftKings, a little bit different, but all in all about the same. So if you tack on 2.5 more, that is seemingly a good edge that we are getting. And that's probably why the projection is at 30.9. And then just real quickly, seeing if we have any other good ones that are popping up that might catch my eye that I would maybe agree with. Not too many as it sits right now. Again, it's a 14-game slate. My daughter's getting a little fussy. Let's go ahead and give you guys the bet of the day, and then I'll be getting out of it. And it does suck. I wish we were getting more fantasy score props. Again, we will. It's a 14-game slate. Underdog will release them as well, and we're going to get some big edges there. Like yesterday, I called out 2 where the edge was seemingly on prize picks for both of them, but they both ended up missing on prize picks. So if you had bet them on underdog as well, where, you know, there's just two big discrepancies is what I'm saying, where underdog's line was underdog's line was lower and prize picks line was higher. So you bet the under on prize picks, you bet the over on underdog. You did fine there. You had that cash on underdog, and that's kind of how you want it to work out. But I'm hoping that we have a big edge there as well. But these are currently the 6 best bets that we have available on the slate today. You know, Oliver, I guess, only has a 53% chance to hit. So if you didn't want to use that, if you wanted to sub in one of these other ones here real quick, like you could, I'd be fine with that. These are two decent bets that we are getting today, especially Jordan Poole, where the average sportsbook line has it at 26.5 and underdog has already bumped it down to 26.5. So seemingly good edges there. Again, apologies guys, wish I could give you a bigger, you know, better deep dive, but it's just not on the card today. So apologies. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. Please hit that notification bell as well. Well, you don't, not please, but that's going to help you guys out in the long term. Do want to call out as well that I probably won't be able to come out with a video on Friday, just as an FYI. It sucks, but Thanksgiving schedule, I'll see what I can do. Saturday, potentially as well. Sunday, I'll be back to the normal timing. If you guys want access to the 9to5sports.com PrizePicks and Underdog cheat sheet, click the link in the description below. It is available for just $10 a month. Thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.